Hello, welcome to another class of Greek today. I want to let you know that in this class, we are going to look at some concepts. It's still coming from the alphabet we did in the previous class. In the previous class, as you will recall, I took us through the 24 letters of the Greek alphabet. We learned the consonants and the vowels. And can you recall those vowels? Let's try and recall those vowels. Vowel, we have alpha, we have epsilon, there is eta, there is iota, there is omicron, there is upsilon, and the last one is omega. There are 7 of them. Alpha, epsilon, eta, iota, omicron, upsilon, and omega. Those are the 7 vowels. In addition to these 7 vowels, there is a concept called diphthongs. Diphthongs. What are diphthongs? Diphthongs refer to 2 vowels that produce a sound. Diphthongs, 2 vowels that produce a sound. And that's what I want us to look at today. These 2 vowels are in Greek are formed using 2 basic vowels, vowel iota and vowel upsilon. Vowel iota and vowel upsilon. So we can have a combination of 2 vowels in this case. Alpha can combine with iota. Epsilon can combine with iota. Omicron can combine with iota. Upsilon also can combine with iota. The same thing happens. Alpha combines with upsilon. Epsilon combines with upsilon. Then upsilon, omicron, let's take it. Omicron combines with upsilon. So no, there are 7 of them, 7 diphthongs. They don't have special names, but there's a way which we must pronounce them. That's what I want us to know, because these are features we find in the language. How do we pronounce them? When you find alpha and iota, they have the sound I. So we can say as in I, just like this, I. So when you see alpha and iota, that's our sound I. You have epsilon and iota, it sound A, as we have in, like say, 8, A sound. We have oil, as we find in coil, oil, coil. Those are sounds. Then we have this, as in w sound, so that you can say quit, or sweet. Sweet is w sound. Then we have alpha and upsilon, as in owl sound. So we can say as in, let's say, cow, owl. Then we have epsilon and upsilon, meaning the sound will be ew, as in field in English, field. Then we have omicron and upsilon, as in oo, it gives us oo sound. So we can say, like say, soup is an oo sound. So in addition to the individual vowels, we also have these diphthongs. And these are part of, as I said, what we find in the Greek. So we need to note them. We need to know how to pronounce them. Very, very important. Now, there are instances where you may find 2 vowels that could potentially be a diphthong, but if in this particular instance it's not meant to be a diphthong, there is an indication that will be given us. So there's a name, let me put it this way. Let me have it brighter. There's a name, let me call it, don't forget this, our capital letter for eta. You can see alpha iota, alpha iota. So this potentially could be a diphthong. However, if it's a diphthong, therefore, we would have pronounced it a sias, a sias. But in this particular instance, it's not meant to be pronounced as with one sound. They are to be pronounced separately as two different sounds. For that reason, a sign will be giving us, an indication will be giving us. And that indication is you have two dots like this. I just deliberately use a colored one. These two dots, we call it diaresis. Diaresis. Once we see these two dots on the second letter that could have been a diphthong, then we know that we are supposed to separate them in pronunciation. For that reason, we'll call it a sa I as. Instead of saying Esaias, it will be Esaias. We are to pronounce them separately. So please do take note of that. And this will definitely lead me to a discussion of syllable division. How do we divide syllables in Greek? I will definitely go to that one so that you will know how to make our syllable divisions. Once you know that, we'll be able to pronounce words. It's easier for us to pronounce words. All right. So let me take note of this. We are going to make use of this as we go on. Let me lead, this discussion leads us to syllabification in Greek. Syllabification in Greek. A syllable is the smallest unit you can pronounce in any language. That's the bit, the unit you can pronounce. And what helps in pronunciation is a vowel. For that reason, a basic principle in syllable division is that a syllable must consist of a vowel or a diphthong. I want you to take note of that principle. Number one, a syllable must consist, must have, it is a must have, a vowel or a diphthong. This is a basic principle you must take note of. Very, very basic. No matter how long a word may be, chop it up into syllables and let this be your guiding principle. There are other rules that can guide us. If we have a cluster, for example, of consonants, you split it. If it's of the same letter, you can split it. If you have consonants that can be pronounced together, take them and pronounce them together. Let's look at some examples and see how we can take note of that in our syllable division. Let me have some words up and we work on that one just to give examples of how to do your syllable. So let me have this word. The first word is this. I'm not going to pronounce it yet. All right. Remember, this is sigma followed by alpha. We have beta, alpha, tau, omicron, and nu. Sometimes to help as we are just growing in our knowledge, do a transliteration of these letters. That means, a transliteration, as you recall, means each of these Greek letters represents each letter by an equivalent letter in English, just as we have learned in the previous class. For that reason, this will be our S, this will be our A, this will be our B, this will be another B, this will be our A, this is T, this is our O, and this is our N. In this way, it's easier to pronounce. How do you pronounce this? You can say Sabaton, Sabaton. If you are to do the syllable division, be guided will be guided by the number of vowels or diphthongs. In this case, let's count how many vowels we have here. There's a vowel one, another vowel, and another vowel. In this case, we should expect to have three syllables. Three syllables. Now, we will divide. This is double syllable of the same letter. We can divide it. And then this another one goes with this one, and that will help us. What we want to know is that a syllable must have a vowel or a diphthong. So if you want to take it bit by bit, you can say sabaton, sabaton. That's a good one. Let's look at another one. Let's look at another letter, another word. No matter, as I tell you, no matter how long that letter is, don't be moved. You can break it down into syllables and you'll be able to pronounce them. At this juncture, since we are still learning, you may also do your transliteration. That will also help you. So, see, very long one. How many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 letters in a word. But once we chop it up into syllables, it's easy to pronounce. For the purpose of making it easy for our pronunciation, let's try the transliteration also. This is your epsilon, this is your P, P, then this is your iota, this is sigma, this is tau, which is T, this is epsilon again, upsilon, this sigma, this is alpha, and this is nu. Now, take note that this is a diphthong. This is a diphthong. So don't pronounce these two letters as if they were separate. But let's go to the Greek and do the Greek word and do the syllable division. A syllable must have a vowel or a diphthong. So we can put this together. Your epsilon can stay on its own. It constitutes a syllable on its own. We can divide this. We can put the P, and because some may say, let's divide it here, or let this, because the sigma can also be pronounced with the tau, let's take it together. So which is what I will do in this case. I put this one, this is a vowel here. This we can take together. Epsilon and upsilon, as we say, constitute a diphthong. We cannot separate them. So we're going to divide it here, and that will be the end. So if we were to read it now, it will be epistusan, epistusan, and that will help you in your syllable division. Let me see if there's another one we can do. Let me try this last one as example for us. I want you to take note of this, and that should do in terms of your guide in pronunciation. All right, this is another long word. You can see it's a long word. Your eta, don't forget, is a vowel. Because it's a vowel, it can actually stand on its own. For that reason, we can just have this one. The ga can go together with your lambda because you have double, a cluster of consonants there. And then we have to divide it. This is not a diphthong. Iota is not a diphthong with alpha. We divide it. And then alpha can actually stand on its own. So we can divide that too. And then sigma goes together with alpha and then the rest. So if you were to read it, I don't want to do the transliteration again now. Let's see. This is eta. This is a, gal, li, a, sa, to. Let's take it again. A, ga, li, a, sa, to. That is our syllable division. Most of the time, when you have a vowel, a consonant that stands on its own like this, you take it with the following vowel, and that's okay. Except in a case like this where you need to divide them. All right. So that will suffice for our syllabification. There are other concepts in Greek that I want you to be aware of, and this is there are other features we find in the language. And that feature is a feature called breathing marks. Breathing marks. What do you mean by breathing marks? Breathing marks are marks on a word if that word starts with a vowel or a diphthong. Breathing marks are, let me just put in, marks on a vowel or diphthong that occurs at the beginning of a word. At the beginning of a word. Beginning of a word. So for most of the time, you will find these breathing marks on vowels. However, ro, which is a consonant, also can bear a breathing mark. It's the only consonant we found that can bear a breathing mark. What do we mean by breathing mark? How does it look like? Breathing marks, actually we have two of them. There are two breathing marks. There are two of them. There are two breathing marks. There are two breathing marks. We call one, let me show you, a smooth breathing mark. There's a smooth breathing mark, and there is a rough breathing mark. A smooth breathing mark and a rough breathing mark. How does a smooth breathing mark look? It looks like this. As if you are closing a, let me say, an apostrophe. When you want to do a quotation mark, single quotation mark, as if you are closing it. That's a smooth breathing mark. A rough breathing mark is as if you are opening a quotation mark. So how does it look like in real life? Let's say I have a word like this. This now is a diphthong. Being a diphthong, the breathing mark will not be on the first vowel, it will be on the second vowel, so it will look like this. If I have a word which is just starting with a vowel, let's say I have a word like echo, for example, echo, which is the verb I have, it will be like this. A breathing mark just doesn't have much meaning. You just pronounce the word as it is. But if what you have a word has a rough breathing mark, then we need to take note. So we have a word like this, hina, hina. Did you notice how I pronounce it? He. So your breathing mark, rough breathing mark, makes you pronounce this word as if you are starting with H. So if I'm to do a transliteration of this word, it will be, I'll put the H and do like this. So it's hina, hina, hina. Anytime you see that, we have more. Like if you have the word hutos, then being a diphthong, the rough breathing mark will be on the second one. It will be like this. Hutos. If I'm going to do the transliteration, it will be like this one. Because I will take note of the rough breathing mark first before I do the transliteration of the rest. But if it is, the word starts with ro, for example, if you start with ro, and we have a word like this, and it has a rough breathing mark, okay? When I'm going to do the transliteration, I'm going to start with the R before I bring the H sound. So my transliteration of this will be like this. Re, ma, rema. Just take note of that. The H, how does the H come? Because of the rough breathing mark. Take note of that. So we have, these are one of those, what you observe as you begin to read the Greek Bible. And it does make a difference. Let me show you. There is a word like this, it's a smooth breathing mark. And there's another word like this. Do you see? Almost everything is basically the same, if not for the breathing marks. This is smooth, this is rough. The meaning of this is a preposition meaning into. The meaning of this is one. What does that show us? We must pay attention to details. Take note of the briefing mark. It makes a big difference in some instances. Do take note of that. So this will suffice for introducing you to the briefing mark. Um, in addition to briefing marks, there's another feature we find in the Greek language. In the Greek language, it's called iota subscript. It's called iota subscript. Let me write it out. Iota subscript. Iota subscript. That means iota is written under another letter. Sub, under another letter. Now, in this case, three vowels in which we can find iota subscript are alpha, eta, and omega. These are our vowels, as we mentioned. Now, if it's going to have iota subscript, how would it look like? It will look like this here, it will look like this here, and it will look like this here. So this is the iota subscript. Iota subscript. These are part of the features we find in the language. I think the other one I want to make mention of is the issue of accents. Accents are they are not much they are not in much use, but they also still make a difference. And these are still the features we find in the language. You will see some words they may have an accent like this. This is where this is called acute accent, because it's as if the pitch, the voice is being raised here. Then you have another one that goes down, where it tells you the pitch is going down here, and that is called grove. It's grove accent. There's the last one, which is called circumflex. Circumflex goes like this, and is to tell you the voice rises here, then it also calms down. That is called circumflex. Circumflex. These are accents you will find. There's a much, I think it used to be an elaborate discussion about them, but these days it's not much. But even then, they still make some difference. For example, there's a word tis and there's a word tis. The difference is just in the accent. One means why, the other means is indefinite. Anyone, anything, anyone. So just take note of those. Last thing I want to discuss in this section is punctuation. Briefly, let me just go to punctuation in Greek, and that will suffice for the day. All right, punctuation in Greek. Punctuation in Greek. Punctuation in Greek. Punctuation in Greek. We have some similarities in some instances with what we have in English. So I will just use that to compare what we have in English. So let's see, if we want to have comma, how does it look like? If you have to have period or full stop, how does it look like? If you want to have colon or semicolon, how does it look like? And if you want to have question mark, how does it look like? So in English, how does it look like? And then let's compare it with Greek. How does it look like in Greek? All right. Now, comma in English will just be whatever you are writing. Let's just say Christ is, whatever you want to say, you put like this one. Okay? That's fine. If it were in Greek and you want to write the same Christos, the comma is basically the same. Don't forget, it's not about it's the sign, it's the mark I want you to take note, the punctuation marks. Okay? Period, if you still put that in, you see, say Christ, it will be like this. In Greek, it will also still be like that. Okay? So let me put it punctuation marks, please. Punctuation marks. If it's colon, In English, colon will be like this. In Greek, if I want to make a colon, it will be like this. Do you take note? It's different because it's up here. And for Greek, this suffices both for colon and semicolon. It's not just colon alone. Although, of course, you know in English, English has its own form of semicolon. But once you see this in Greek, it can start both for colon or semicolon. And then we have question mark. So if I were to make it question, say Christ, you can see the question mark. That's Christ. That is the question mark in English. If it were in Greek, this would be the question mark. This that is like the semicolon in English is actually question mark in Greek. Please take note. So when you are reading something in Greek, read towards the end before you know whether it's a question, because sometimes it will just sometimes it may not have a question word. It's at the end you now know, oh, I'm supposed to interpret this as question. So please take note of all this. And as we proceed, these are basic things, basic concepts, basic features we find in the Greek language. And as you go to read the Greek Bible, that's what we find. Please take note of this because we will make reference to them in the coming lectures. Thank you so much for your time. God bless.